Yerp. Welcome team, welcome team. Hope everyone is having a great weekend so far. Make sure we're good. Let's go. Test, test, test. Make sure we're good. Let's go. Alright, cool. Gonna give everybody another 4 minutes to join. We will start at 4:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're gonna be going over the pairs on our charts that you see on the right hand side, starting off with AUDUSD, finishing off with USOIL. This session should take a little bit. I'm gonna definitely say it should be about over a little bit of an hour. We have a lot of pairs to update, specifically USDCAD, USDZAR, and Bitcoin. They're gonna be three pairs that are I haven't touched those pairs since I think like beginning of December or something. So we'll have a little bit to add. We have a few pairs to update with, their daily highs, daily lows, 4-hour highs, and 4-hour lows. So we'll take the time today to pretty much just update our charts. That's pretty much all we're gonna do, because if we do anything else, we'll talk about what needs to be talked about, but for the most part, if we talk about everything in detail today, we'll finish this in fucking 3 hours, 4 hours. So we'll try to do it quick. We'll just update what needs to be updated. Usually already this is the 4-hour time frame needs to be updated just to see how the week ended and how we're gonna start the week, see if there's any continuations. Again, update our 4-hour highs and lows, daily highs and lows, 30-minute highs and lows, see if there's any continuations on the 30-minute, and we'll get ready for our Monday trading session. What's good, Kendall? I'm here, little mama. Hey, I know who you calling little, man. Big mama to you. Big mama to you, bubs. I don't usually do this unless I'm drunk and I'm high, but I'm both right now. I need you in my life. Then the race starts at 7. We're gonna have such a great night tonight. Can't wait to watch that. And it's crazy what's happening in Minnesota right now. But you know what? Like, something I said a couple days ago. I'm like, yo, I think all this shit is just being hyped up in the media. And then I spoke to Booba. Last time I spoke to him, he's like, yo, what's crazy is like shit's crazy here, but it's not as bad as it seems online. And I'm like, yeah, it's usually what happens. It's the same thing down here in Florida when all the riots were happening and shit. Like yeah, riots were happening, but everything else that people were saying is just exaggerated to the max. But when you see news online and that's the only place you see it, you're not really living there. You thinking that that's the only thing that's happening all day, every day. So I get it. But I hope all those people over there stay safe, man. Stay indoors, bro. That's what I always tell people. You're not gonna find no problems if you stay in your house. You know, unless somebody comes over and fucks up your car, but that's a different situation. I wanted to give everybody a few minutes to join, but it seems like everybody's kind of offline for the day. Yeah, we don't really got nobody online, so we'll see. We'll see. We'll get everybody. Yo, Kendall, you here? Let me know. If it's just gonna be me and you, I'll get started. The fuck? Daddy's home. That's a Drake song. How you forget the session? I just texted you about it. You're not locked, man. You're not locked. Stop lying to me. You're not. You don't even got your charts open. I bet. You're not locked. I don't usually do this unless I'm drunk or I'm high or I'm both right now. I guess we'll get right into the 3 minutes, but it seems like it's just gonna be us today, Kendall. It's a little too soon, man. It's Saturday. Everybody's out. They partying. They at the beach. They at home watching Netflix, taking naps. It's all good. So for the people watching the recording, I know there's gonna be a few of you guys. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave the questions in the comment section. If you don't feel comfortable in the comment section, you could always message me on Discord, Instagram, Twitter, whatever is easier for you guys. For those in the live session, if you have any questions, let me know. Any specific pairs you guys want me to go over, talk about, explain, let me know. Again, if not, the session should be a little bit, it's going to be longer than usual. Should take us about an hour, hour and a half. Maybe we have a few pairs to update, so we'll take our time and do what we got to do to get ready for the new week. But again, if there's no questions in the chat while I'm doing this, then I'm gonna do this at my pace. Something that's gonna take me an hour and a half to do on the stream, realistically speaking, could take me 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So I'll make sure to give you guys as much information as possible. Talk about what we need to talk about. But again, if we don't really have any questions for the day, then we'll get through this pretty quick. Was good, Uganda. Little meat, it's little, but it gets the job done. I've been told at least. It ain't about the, I don't know, what do they say? It's not about the boat, it's about the, nah, that's not what it is. Something about the waves or whatever the case is, man, you know the deal. What was that thing that the cool kids say? Yeah, and I've been studying for that exam, bro. Yo, Kendall, you slacking. I already got, I'll tell you right now. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5 pages of notes already for that test, man. 5 pages, yo. I know you've been slacking, but that's gonna be something I'm at least for April. I'm gonna give myself a timeline. At least April. that's when I'll that's when I'll be ready to take the exam in April. But yo, I suck at taking tests though, let me tell you. I mean, we don't need it, but it's a, it's a good tool to have, yo. I always say that, you know. You never know when the opportunity comes knocking, especially us doing what we're doing and how we're doing it. I'm a big believer that you just never know. Yeah, whenever that opportunity comes up, I'll be ready for it. We can ace that shit easily, lock in. Oh, that's a fact. I was going through the practice exam last night, and and the study guide. Some of the things that I learned in college, while I was taking my economics class for 2 semesters. So a lot of the things is like common knowledge, but obviously there's a whole bunch of other stuff that I ain't never heard of before. So I'm gonna have to go through it and really pay attention and study and do all that shit again, which I'm not a fan of, but I don't know. I don't know why that is. That's something I've always tried to kind of ask myself and get an explanation, but I don't know why. When it comes to shit like that, I'm just not that good at it. But completely different, when I was learning how to trade, like in the process of learning how to trade, I was a goddamn sponge, and it was all day, every day, right? Same thing when it came to gaming. It was all day, every day, learning something different, like taking notes, watching, like it's the same thing as studying. But then, you put me in a fucking algebra class, I have no clue what y equals mx plus b is. I just don't get it. I don't know why there's certain things that is just difficult for me to s- s- just get the information. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm like that. Should be boring, bro. That's why. I would get sleepy as shit trying to take a test. Yo, facts. I'm the same way. You put me in a classroom, again, it could be like, yo, maybe because I just don't really enjoy it, and I don't thrive in environments that I don't care for, or that I'm not passionate. I wouldn't say that I wouldn't care for. I just say that I'm not really like passionate about. I'm like not motivated to do it. Like if I'm doing it just because I gotta do it, or because it's a goal and I just want to get it done, it's just like it's so draining. Would be fully awake before soon. I sit down, 5 10 minutes. I just be checked. Yo, yo, that's why my SATs. Yo, what was the passing score for the SATs? I had like 750. I literally got a flat 750. Yo, I did the bare minimum. I did exactly what I had to do. How I took my SATs, just so I could tell you, the way I took my ACTs and the SATs and the FCATs and all that other bullshit that we took, like, yo, I would go through the pamphlet, right? Even my AP exams. I'd go through the pamphlet and I'd answer the questions that I knew. The questions that I didn't know, I would read them again. If I was still lost, I'm guessing. So, like, half the exam is shit that I knew. Like, 100% I got them right. And then the other ones, I'm just like, whatever. We'll wing it. And that's what I pretty much did that for all the exams, like the statewide exams throughout in high school. In college, college different story. But man, we don't even need that shit. I literally slept through that exam. Yeah, nah, I fucking I don't want to be that person and say, yo, that shit don't matter, but that shit really don't matter. Yo, that shit really didn't. People were like, yo, you're never gonna get into a good college. You're not going to a university. Yeah, right. They fucking lying to you. Schools just be telling you that because that's how they get their funds. Same shit with the AP exams. The teachers just want their funds, which is, it's what they need. After COVID, they waived it. Fuck. I wish. Luckily for you, you probably went through that. I didn't. But I mean, obviously depends. what university and shit you want to go to. You know, it's a completely different story if you want to be a fucking Harvard student, go to Stanford and go to Yale, but going to fucking FSU, going to UCF, going to those, you know, I don't want to say B tier universities, but you know, I'll put Harvard and all those other schools in the A tier. But all those other B tier colleges and universities, they don't give a fuck about that. Especially colleges, right? Universities, they do care a little bit, but I had the grades for it. That yo, your test scores kind of suck, but you got good grades. So, it kind of happens. Just don't really care about this. But we'll see. Again, I'm confident with that certificate though. I think I'll be able to do it. I was going through the study guide. It's just it's a lot of shit. It's a lot of information to take in. Um, and I don't know. I'm kind of at a point where I'm like, yo, fuck it. I'm gonna just remember. I'm gonna memorize the study test, right? The practice exam, and just wing it from there. But I know that's not gonna work, bro. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to lock in. I had a 3.8. I was in DP college, classes, college courses in high school. No, I never did that. I I didn't care about school that much now. Dual enrollment, I didn't have none of that. I had what, two AP classes, and then I dropped one. Fuck that, I'm not doing this. And then I dropped from the AP English class to just a regular like honors, I believe it was, like the advanced one. I'm like, yeah, this is better. This is more my pace here. I was not even putting it because of elementary school. I was gifted. Oh nah, elementary school, middle school, elementary school. I was in intensive. Brother, I didn't make it into regular classes. I was in fucking intensive. Yeah, you got reading for first period. What's your second period? Oh, intensive reading. What the fuck? All the spec kids when the regular classes. Oh, that's why they put you in gifted. Got it. Yeah, I didn't make it into gifted. All my friends were in gifted though. Very unfortunate. IQ was less than zero. Nah, that's facts though. That's how elementary and middle school is. That's one thing I always say. Like, yo, the one thing I don't miss is middle school or elementary. Like I wasn't a smart kid at all, but at least I was respectful. But going into those classes, motherfucker throwing pencils and shit at the whiteboard and yelling at the teachers and fighting in the back of the class and writing shit down in the study books and all that. Oh, that's high school. Nah, it's crazy. Nah, high school. My high school was chill when it came to that. I didn't have that problem in high school. I felt like all the classes I had, even like the regular classes, were pretty chill. Like yeah, you had a couple people that were a little slow in the head, but for the most part, I enjoyed. Well, let me let me rephrase that. I'm not gonna say I enjoyed high school, but I wouldn't do it again. But it was fine. It is what it was at that time. Same shit with college though. I didn't really like my classes. I didn't really. Luckily for me, I was in it during COVID, so a lot of it was just online classes. I think I was on campus for maybe 1 or 2 semesters, and then COVID hit. And then when I got to university, that's when I had no classes in person. I had one class in person, and that's it. Talking about the big ones that go boom. Oh, my freshman year, that motherfuckers were shooting fireworks in the hallway. Nah, nah. You see what I mean? Like we weren't doing that in high school. We were doing that in we were doing that in middle school. We were throwing. My middle school was like a 3 story or 4 story building. 4 floors or 3 floors. Let me see if I can remember. First floor, you walk in. Office was right to the left hand side. You had the desk in the middle. Then you had the staircase on the right. Then you had a long hallway with all the first floor classes. You go all the way down. There's a back door. Then on the left hand side of the building, you had another staircase going to the other side, right? So you had the first floor. You go up. You had the second floor. Yeah, the third floor. I think there's 4 floors in my middle school. Um, and I believe it was my 7th grade year. Uh, I was cool with a lot of the older kids, and yo, we grabbed a garbage. We grabbed the garbage bin. You know, those big ass garbage bin that the janitors be walking around with. Yo, and we fucking lifted it and we dropped it from the 4th floor all the way to the 1st floor. Well, I have a whole bunch of stories from middle school and elementary that it was crazy. Yeah, like it was a. I would only go back to middle school and elementary for those days, like to revisit those days and be like, what the fuck were we thinking? And I recently had a conversation about that too with one of my old friends that I reconnected with. We were just talking about the bullshit that mainly that I did, cause like a lot of my friends from my grades, we weren't really on that. They weren't really on that crazy wave. It's like, yo, you remember when you did this? I'm like, damn, I did do that, huh? Whole bunch of shit, yo. Alright, I'll start in 1 minute, man. I guess it's just gonna be me and you in here, so we'll do what we gotta do. If you have any questions, my brother, let me know. Nah, we never. I think maybe the fire alarm again, not in high school. At high school, I don't have any stories like that in high school. Middle school, I think maybe once, but it was nobody. Like I don't know what happened where I was in class. It wasn't me, I promise. Um, I think maybe once that happened, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe in high school too. Maybe that happened like once in high school. I really don't remember though. I don't really remember shit like that happening in my high school. But already in high school, I was already very isolated. I didn't really like again. I had my big ass group of friends that we'd chill, like in lunch and in the morning and after class, after school. But like middle of the day, like all like regular from fucking 8 in the morning till 2 p.m. There wasn't really. I don't really have any stories like that from high school. Well, I'm lying. I'm my the first high school I went to, which was my freshman year, halfway. I only did. I went to one high school in the beginning of high school, up until like winter break, and then I switched over to the other high school that I ended up staying at, and I graduated from. The first high school I was at, never mind. That was a fucking dude. I have so many stories from the first high school. I'm thinking about it now. I had completely forgotten about that memory. Yeah, I used to I never showed up to my math class. That's why I suck at Algebra 1. Here we go. I'm getting memories back. I'll say this and then I'll start the stream. Yeah, like my first freshman year Algebra 1, I didn't show up to that class. I showed up the first day, right? Like the first week pretty much. And her name was Miss Green. Yo, shout out Miss Green. Um she my second that was my second period class. I never showed up. As soon as I saw what we were doing and it was like, the first day when she started actually teaching and I was so lost and motherfuckers around me were that class was alright, so it was a regular like just a regular algebra, not advanced, nothing, just regular. I had maybe like 6 teammates from football that were in that class, and you already know how that goes. We're clowning each other all day, the entire time in that class. So on top of the fact that I had meatheads in that class, I also didn't understand shit. And I never showed up after the first week. Never showed up to the class again. I'd either stay in my first period class because my first period class was my IT class. Amazing, loved the teacher. I forgot her name, Miss Jackson. Never mind, I remember her name. Um, Shout out Miss Jackson, she's the best. That class was fun as fuck too, and I have so many funny stories from there too. And or I would skip and I'd go to the football coach's room. He was teaching. He was a history teacher. Or we'd be in the locker room or in the weight room. Um, there was one day I tried to skip, and outside next to the baseball fields, our high school was built. That high school was built next to the interstate, I-75, and there's a gate. You know, just a metal fence. It was just a metal fence on the right on the next to the baseball field. And one day we were walking. You know, this was during our second period. We were just walking over there, just chilling, just skipping, doing our thing. It was a huge ass school too, so like, there's no security back there. There's cameras and shit, but I don't think they really cared. And it was me and like three other people. And I'm like, yo, what if we just skip? Let's go through here, cause if we just walk through, yeah. As soon as I went under the fence and I saw how big, like when you're driving on the interstate, you don't really notice how wide and how big each lane is. Yo, but when you're standing there on the side of the goddamn road and there's cars going 80 miles an hour, I was under the fence. I got up. I saw a couple cars. I turned around. I went right back under the fence. I went back to class. That's how fucking scared I got. I'm like, yeah, I'm not this crazy. Like, I'm crazy, but I'm not this crazy. I think that was one of the wildest things that I was like, yo, am I really gonna do this? I don't think so. I think I'm gonna take my ass back to school. Yeah, we did that a whole bunch. I don't even fucking remember, yo. Expressway jump, yeah, the chicken shit. The chicken crossing the game with the log. I know what you're talking about. That's exactly how it felt. Yeah, I'm like, yo, I'm crazy, but I'm not this crazy to do this. And every time I pass by, especially now that my bad, where I live now, or where I'm living now, school's literally like 2 minutes from here. So every time I pass by it, I always think about that memory. I'm like, yo, I cannot believe I thought about doing that. And then the other homies were just sitting behind the fence, like, yo, you really gonna go out? I'm like, yo, I'm really out of here. I don't want to stay here. I'm about to go home. House is walking distance. That was another thing. I never walked home to like, I never walked from school home, and I did it once, and I never did it again. It was a fucking hour and a half walk. Nah, like, you in a car, that should take 10 minutes. You start fucking walking using Chevrolet legs, that shit takes you an hour and a half. I'm like, yo, I'm never doing that shit again. So that was another lesson I learned. I skipped school. I walked home. I got home, and I'm like, yo, I'm never doing this again. That's not worth it. I would be in lunch right now. My ass just got fucking home, sweaty, fucking 90-degree weather. We're in Florida, so you already know we're wearing our hoodies anyway. Yo, hot as fuck. Never did that shit again. I probably walked home twice. I did it once by myself, and then the second time I did it with one of my friends. We were just tired of this shit. I was like, yo, I'm out of here. And then like a week later, I got called into the office talking about, yo, we were kicking your ass out of here. Oh shit, I'm getting kicked out? No way. And I didn't end up getting kicked out. My mom's shout out my mama. She was like, yo, we're just gonna transfer him out. Don't kick him out. Blah 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 blah. But I wasn't even. I forgot about that too. Like I was in my freshman year. I was in Cambridge, like Cambridge classes. So it's like pretty much the same shit. College classes. I was getting my college credits, but you know, I only went to that school for one reason, which was to play baseball, and then turned out that they didn't have a fucking team that year. So I went to the school for no fucking reason. And then I transferred over to another high school, which is the high school that I graduated to, and then the same shit. They didn't have a fucking baseball team either. It was like, all right, cool. Like, they're like, oh, we don't have a team yet. The coach quit. I'm like, but we're gonna have one. We just don't know when. I'm like, okay. And then they ended up getting a coach like 2 weeks later, and then I was on that team. And then I quit. What was it, my junior year? I played for a year and a half, pretty much. I played freshman year, and then I played a little bit of junior year, and then I quit. I was like, I'm out of here. Fuck y'all. I'm gonna go play video games instead. Was it a good decision? I don't know. I still think about that. That's one thing that I do. I'm like, huh. But I didn't enjoy playing baseball though, so I just did it because I was good at it. It's what I knew how to do. But do I regret it? I don't think I regret not playing because I really didn't enjoy it. I didn't like the coach. I didn't like my teammates. Teammates were mad racist. Coach was fucking weird too about it. You know, for the people who live in Miami, is that Cuba Dominican rivalry, and all my teammates were Cubans except for three teammates which were Dominican, or four teammates that were Dominican. It was me, the big guy, um, the other dude that I texted recently, and the big guy's little brother, and we were dope. Us four, we would just warm up with each other. We'd go. Pause. That sounded mad gay. Um, We everything I'm gonna say just sounds weird. Anyway, yeah, we were in a little circle. So then, you know, it was the Cubans versus the Dominicans. And then the coach was Cuban, so you already know. And I told him straight up, I'm like, yo, I'm not doing this shit. It's not what I'm here for. I'm here to play the fucking game, yo. I'm here to win. Y'all motherfuckers want to take this like it's some other shit, then I'm out of here. And I left. I literally left the next day. I'm like, I'm not doing this. He's like, yo, please don't do this to us. We need you. Who else are we gonna put on the field? We need you. But nah, man, I'm out of here. See y'all later, bro. Hope you guys make the championship. Ain't do shit. They ain't do nothing. What really got me was the last game I played. Second baseman couldn't reach the ball to me, and I'm playing first. And then the third baseman also couldn't reach the ball to me. And I'm like, yo, what are you guys doing? Like, why are we playing like we're 12 years old? Like, you motherfuckers are 16, 17, 16, 17 years old, and you've been playing ball for how long? And you don't know how to throw a goddamn baseball? Like, field it, throw it to me. Like, you're fielding it and throwing it to the fence. What am I supposed to do with that? Alright, yo, I've done enough talking, yo. We've already talked for 38 minutes. That's insane work how fucking fast time goes. Alright, so AUD, or I'm sorry, we're on US30. AUD USD, right? We know that this is a pair that's an overall market makers pattern downtrend. Right now, price is just pushing, yo. AU moved a lot on Friday, and it moved a lot in the last 3 weeks, or last 2 weeks, right? So it looks like price wants to go back to the top of the zone of consolidation. So AU for us right now, at this moment, you know, there's really nothing to update on the daily highs or daily lows. No continuations. You know, again, we'll update our continuations going into the end of the week for you know, the start of the new month. On the 4 hour time frame, we updated our 4 hour lows on Friday morning or Thursday night when we did the one of the sessions. Our 4 hour highs, we still don't really have any set highs just yet, so I'm just gonna mark these up right here, and then we'll update them if we need to going into the beginning of the session on Monday. I'm gonna go ahead and add a few lines here for our week so we don't have to do this when we're trading. We'll just update this now. Alright, and then we have another week of counter rise, so no continuations. And then on the 30-minute time frame, price is still making higher highs and higher lows, right? Gave us higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and then these higher highs over here. Again, very similar situation to the 4 hour. We don't have any set highs just yet. I'm gonna mark up this entire zone just to have a little bit of room. We have a day of rise, and we're trading between these higher lows over here. Mama. Go on to the next pair for ACAD. Give me 1 second. Alright, I'm back. My bad. Again, guys, any questions, let me know. Remember, I only got one monitor, so I'll be going back and forth from from the charts to the chat. So ACAD, we are at the top of the zone of consolidation, right? So we're finally reaching let me see something real quick. I feel like I have this marked incorrectly. Looking for the break, it is. So why do I have this high marked? We didn't get a valid break of the lows. Right, we didn't get a valid break of the lows. We're waiting for a valid break. We never got it. So why do I have this marked as my daily high? I knew I was looking at this last week, and I'm like, why do I have this marked incorrectly? Thank you for nobody for correcting me. But this is why we do this session, so we could catch ourselves. I'm gonna mark these highs here. Right, so we're reaching the top of the zone of consolidation. I don't know why I had that high there marked. I'm gonna be honest. We had low, lower high, lower low. Right, then we had high, then we had lower low that we're getting induced the entire time. We never got a valid break. Right, all of these candles were inducements. Right, so we never had a valid break. Right, we're trading between these highs. So price is reaching the top of the zone of consolidation again. So again, ACAD, at this point, again, we're pretty much waiting for our safety trade to be set up, waiting for price to give us these set highs, and once we get these set highs, we'll start looking to take those trades again, back down to the bottom. And again, before we take these trades, just because price is in our safety trade area does not mean I'm taking a trade. It means I'm waiting for price to reach our point of interest, right? Once price reaches our point of interest, then I'm waiting for price to start giving us downtrend movement. Lower lows and lower highs, change of character, break of structure to the bottom side, and then we'll be patient with it. Give me 1 second, sorry. Just had to close my door. On the 4-hour time frame, we have a week of rise. Nothing to talk about on the continuations. We're still making higher highs and higher lows, right? So we're trading between these 4-hour lows down here and the 4-hour highs that we're trading now are going to be whatever highs are set here at the top. And at this moment, we're just going to zoom it in. See what highs. We still don't have a set high just yet, but we're just going to mark it up for now. And if we need to update it at the start of the week when the market's open tomorrow, we will do that. And then on the 30-minute time frame, we had higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Then price gave us the higher highs all the way at the top. So we are now trading between these highs over here. These higher lows over here. And I'm going to use the lowest candle, which is the wick of this green candle, and the lowest candle of the red body, which is over here. So we're trading between these lows on the 30-minute time frame. And again, no continuations. We're still making higher highs and higher lows. Price is still moving counter trend. We had 2 days of rise. Friday being the 3rd day gave us that 3rd day push. After 3 days of rise, the market must move sideways or go down. So ACAD could be a good pair to keep an eye on for Monday, the start of the week. For Euro AUD, daily time frame, we are in level 3 on an uptrend. We had level 1, first zone of consolidation, level 2, second zone of consolidation, and the break of structure of the zone of consolidation that gave us the start of level 3 that also gave us the daily higher high. Price decided to give us a small pullback higher low and then give us a zone of consolidation, right? So at this moment, we're just waiting to see what price wants to do. Does it want to give us a steeper pullback? Does it want to respect the 4-hour lows that we'll talk about? But we are expecting price to give us another push to the previous peak highs over here at the top side. So nothing to update on the daily time frame. What I am gonna do is just gonna clear out this chart a little bit. I'm gonna delete some drawings. on the 4-hour time frame, once again, let me just add a few lines here so I don't have to do this every week. We had 2 weeks of drop. Then price gave us that 3rd week push, and again after 3 weeks of drop, the market must move sideways or go up. So for next week, I'm expecting price to either consolidate or go up. So this could be a good pair to keep an eye on to catch a small trade, nothing too crazy. And then on the 30-minute time frame, we were still making lower low, lower high. Then price gave us lower low, lower high, all the way down to the lower low. So we're now trading between this lower high point over here and these lower low points down here. I'm going to use the body of the red candle with the lowest candle, which is that green wick. Then we also had 2 days of drop, on Friday being the 3rd day, gave us that 3rd day drop. And again, very similar to the 4-hour, we had 3 weeks of drop. On the 30-minute, we have 3 days of drop. And after 3 days of drop, the market must move sideways or go up. So EA is definitely going to be a pair that we want to keep an eye on for next week. Again, to at least catch a pullback, right? We could at least expect a pullback to be given. 5-minute time frame, price also gave us lower low, lower high, lower low, change of character, right? And you know, at this point too, we got the 50 crossing above the 200. We have a 5-minute engulfing candle as well. And let's look at this on the 1 minute. This is a 5-minute engulfing. And then on the 1 minute, obviously would be slightly different, right? It's gonna look slightly different because we could say that this is the change, this is the break, right? And then push number 3 gave us an inducement up here, right? Didn't give us a valid break, it gave us an inducement. Now, you know, could we still say that the market's gonna want to respect these highs and still say that this is just higher high, higher low, and this is all just one move, higher high, and we're looking for a pullback? We could say that, but I would rather not. I would rather sit here and say that we're trading between the internal moves on the 1 minute. And then once price gets down to these lows, we'll have a little bit more information. On the 1 minute time frame, we also had an engulfing candle here that price tapped into at 2 p.m. on Friday and then skyrocketed up to the top side again. So this is definitely another pair that we're going to want to keep an eye on. Again, the only thing I don't like about EA, obviously the 30-minute time frame, we're still making lower low, lower high, lower low, right? And what did price do? Gave us a lower high point and then started that push back down. So again, it just goes back to what I always say, right? Even though we could see potential entries on this trade going long, market structure is still making lower lows and lower highs, right? With that being said, is it a high probable trade to take when you're taking a long position when price is still making lower lows, lower highs, right? Is it a high probable trade or is it a low probable trade? Now, if market structure is shifted and we started making higher highs and higher lows, and then we got an entry opportunity going long, that would be high probable. That would be a high probable trade, right? Because you're trading with the trend. So yes, even though I see that this could be a potential entry, right? Like the entry is there. The entry model is there. However, everything else that comes before taking your entry, market structure, whatever else it is that you're trading, how are you taking a long position when market structure is still making lower lows and lower highs, right? So we're going to be patient with EA. Again, it's definitely a pair that I want to keep my eye on, but it's not something that I'm confident in with this trade. With ECAD, I'm just gonna let me keep the highlight again, guys. Any questions, let me know. Low probability. Yep, exactly. Give me 1 second. With ECAD, damn, bro. With ECAD, we're in PCAD territory, so this is one pair for me right now that I'm not trading. However, I'm just gonna keep it updated. If we need to, update anything on the 4-hour time frame, we'll update it. 4-hour highs and lows are still intact, still making lower lows and lower highs. We had a week of drop, and then price gave us a week of rise to finish the week. Price is still stuck in the zone of consolidation as well. And then on the 30-minute time frame, we have a day of rise, and then price gave us a no net on Friday, where price was just moving sideways. And then we had a change of character, and price did not give us a valid break of these highs, just wicks. So I'm not gonna update this just yet. We're gonna keep it like this for now until we'll see what next week does. But even on the 30-minute time frame, we could pretty much say we're in a zone of consolidation as well. Smaller zone of consolidation at the top. So, and we can see that, right? There's no trend right now with price action. Price is just, you know, inducing traders to the lows, inducing traders to the highs, going back to the lows, going back to the highs, going back to the lows, just trapping traders every single day. So right now for ECAD, there's nothing to talk about. We'll go to the next pair. Again, like I said, if there's no questions in the chat, I'm gonna just go ahead and go through the pairs like I usually would, and then go on from there, guys. I'm not gonna take a long time doing this. For EU, you know, at this point, we could say that we are in the second zone of consolidation, looking for that third push back to the top side, right? And we're close to that, right? So we know that we want to see price bounce off the 200 EMA right now, or well, we're in level 3 now, technically, right? So we want to see price bounce off the 50 EMA. The only thing I don't like about I don't like how structure is looking. I don't like how the structure is looking on this pair right now. So I'm not gonna go too into detail with Euro USD. However, we know we had 2 months of rise. This month being the third month, it gave us a pullback. It gave us that third month push. Unfortunately, the trades that were given on EU, we missed all of them, pretty much. Right, I wasn't expecting the third month push to be hit this week that just passed, but it happened. Right, we had 3 weeks of drop as well. Price gave us that. After 3 weeks of drop, the market must move sideways or go up, and we ended up going up. It flew to the top side today. So again, the market did exactly what it had to do. You know, I was basing the moves off of the ADR and all the news that hit. I really wasn't expecting price to just continue to fly this week, especially going towards the end of the week. But again, at the end of the day, the market's gonna do whatever it wants to do. It's your job to be present at the time that those entries are given. So, and unfortunately, just weren't present for them, right? And then obviously, again, you know, this is a pair that for the last couple days, last couple weeks, as soon as the market's open, it's just been moving, right? Aside for Friday, but again, unfortunately, I wasn't even on my setup on Friday. And then price gave us a change of character, and it gave us the break of structure, right? And it continues the uptrend. So EU is going to be another pair. We're going to continue to keep an eye on it. You know, if we get an entry opportunity, if our rules align with what we need to see and what we're looking for, we'll definitely do what we got to do. But right now, really nothing to talk about. Again, once we go back up to the daily time frame, we know that we're back at the top of the zone of consolidation. So again, at this moment, at this point, after 3 months of rise, the market must move sideways or go down. I'm not really expecting price to continue to fly. Now, if price continues to go up, then perfect, right? Again, I'm not looking to take any trades at the top of the zone of consolidation. At this point, I'm looking for price either give me an inducement to go back down, right? To do the same thing it did here to go down, same thing it did here to go down, same thing it did here to go down. Or I'm looking for price to give me the break of structure, higher high, higher low, get in at the higher low points to then continue back up to the higher high. So EU for me, we'll be patient. We'll do what we got to do on that pair. I'm following you, but it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm liking how everything's moving by right now. Alright, but EU moved crazy Friday. Yeah, it moved a lot on Friday. For GA, We are in peak high territory, very similar to ECAD. So this is going to be a pair that I'm just going to update, but I'm not really going to be trading it, so there's nothing to talk about. I'm just going to update what needs to be updated, and then we'll go on from there. We had lower low, lower high, then price gave us another breakdown to these lows and gave us a lower low. And to have enough space, let the price do what we got to do, gave us a weaker drop. Let's add a few lines here as well for the week. Minute time frame. We have lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and then price gave us these lower lows down here. Let's update this. Do I want to say that this is lower low, lower high, lower low, higher high, change of character? Not really. I'm gonna say that all of this is part of the same trend at this point. And then price gave us 3 days of drop. After 3 days of drop, the market must move sideways or go up, and we ended up going up. So GA, again, even though I'm not trading it, it's still doing exactly what it needs to do. For GCAD, daily time frame, we are in level 3 on an uptrend. We have level 1, first zone of consolidation, level 2, second zone of consolidation, the start of level 3 where price decided instead of giving us a higher high, higher low to continue into a higher high, it decided to give us a zone of consolidation. So again, this is another pair very similar to the other ones that are stuck in the same situation. We're just in a zone of consolidation, right? So we want to be patient. No continuations on the daily time frame, nothing to update on the daily time frame. On the 4-hour time frame, same thing. We're still trading between these higher lows and these higher highs, and then price on the 4-hour time frame also gave us that 4-hour zone of consolidation that price is still moving sideways from. It gave us a valid break, higher high, higher low, and then price went up and is looking like it wants to give us that push back to the top side with a week of rise as well. So this is another pair. I'm gonna go on to the 30-minute and really look at it, because I want to see, is it, did we miss these trades because of the timing, or did we miss these trades just because we didn't see nothing at the time that we were on the charts? Because we did talk about how this was going to be a really good area to start looking for those trades to go back to the top side. We did that session, I believe, on Tuesday was when we said that. So let's take a look. Once price gave us the higher low, yeah, it was Wednesday going into Thursday. 3 days of rise, drop, price went down. Yeah, by the time we woke up for the NYC session, STP's already been hit, and then it just flew, right? And then again, pretty much very similar here. STP was hit during London session. So by the time we woke up for the NYC session, price had already done what it had to do for the day when it comes to the ADR and STP. So just unfortunate. This is just a pair that didn't really give us an opportunity at the time that we're on the charts. So, but if you caught these moves on GCAD, congratulations. This was a really good move. Really good moves on GCAD for Thursday and Friday. Nothing yet. All right, cool. We'll be done in the next 20 minutes or so, guys. Again, I'm pretty much gonna go through this pretty quick. I don't want this session to be too long. GJ is another pair just in peak high territory. We're in the highest point in the market. So I'm just gonna update it. Not really gonna talk about it unless I see something worth talking about, but we'll see how this looks now. Right, 4-hour time frame and daily highs. Price had just been tapping into these highs, just giving us inducements. I'm not gonna update the 4-hour high just yet. We have exhaustion candles at these highs as well, so that's telling me that price is most likely not going to continue these uptrend pushes. Damn, and then price gave us a beautiful, well, maybe not. Let me see. Does it have a bottom wick at the top? No, it doesn't. Okay. Crazy wicks anyway. Like as soon as the market opened, it went straight to ADR, then went down like crazy, then went up like crazy, then went down like crazy, right? So this is a pair just so you guys can see the numbers, this is a pair that on a day-to-day basis it moves 132 pips at least, right? And this is a pair that, and it did double of that. It did 275, right? So with that being said, again, you know, we know that Friday was a news day. We knew that this week was a very volatile week as well. So it's nothing out of the ordinary. It's not something that I'm not gonna sit here and say we weren't expecting it. Um, but it's out of the ordinary nonetheless. Right, so we're trading between these lows down here and these highs on the 30-minute time frame. And then we had a day of rise, and then price gave us a day of drop. So GJ will be patient with it. We'll come back to it at the start of the week. Check my phone real quick. Give me a second. All right. So for GU daily time frame, we are in level 2, very similar to Euro USD, right? We had level 1 for zone consolidation, the break of structure that gave us the higher high, higher low, and then the start of level 2 to the top side. And again, instead of just giving us a simple higher high, higher low to continue into a higher high, decided to give us a zone of consolidation, right? Again, very similar to EU, we had 2 months of rise, looking for that third month this month, and price continued that push to the top side, right? Nothing to update on the daily highs and lows as of right now. On the 4-hour time frame, same thing. Really nothing to update on the 4-hour time frame. We have a week of rise, no continuations. Let's add a few lines here as well. Sunday at 5 p.m. when the market opens. Sunday at 5 p.m. Sunday at 5 p.m. And then the 30-minute time frame, we had a change of character. Then again, instead of price giving us a simple pullback to then give us a break, it decided to just give us a zone of consolidation, just a continuation push to the top side with 2 days of rise. Am I expecting a third day push? Again, you guys could see ADR, and then you could see how much more price pushed, right? Again, this is a pair that on a day-to-day basis, on average, it's supposed to move 76 pips, right? 76 pips. And instead of doing 76 pips, we did 163 pips, right? So we did a little bit more than double of what the usual is. And again, usually when a pair moves so much like this, you know, we'd either be expecting price to give us a pullback, a very steep pullback, or we'd be expecting price to consolidate for the next couple days, you know, 1 to 2 days. And especially with price not giving us a valid break after the change, it was just continuation straight to the top side. You know, I'm not really expecting price to do too much on GU for this week. So again, we'll be keeping an eye on it, and we'll see what happens. NZD USD, we are still in A2, which is the second zone of consolidation on a downtrend. We had push 1 for zone of consolidation, push number 2, second zone of consolidation, and we're looking for push number 3, the last and final push, for price to reach our previous peak lows at the bottom. Nothing to update on our daily time frame, still trading between the same daily highs and daily lows. On the 4-hour time frame, let's go ahead and add our lines for the week. We have to add a few of them here. Let's see, Sunday. We'll add one more for good luck. Then we had a week of no net and then a week of rise. So no continuations on the 4-hour. Again, this is a pair still moving counter trend, still making higher highs and higher lows. So this is a pair that I'm currently not going to be trading until I see lower lows and lower highs being formed. And then right now, our 4-hour high. We don't have a set high just yet, but we'll keep it like this, and then at the start of the week, once we get a little bit more data, we'll go ahead and update it. Once we got a set high, we'll do what we got to do. And then we are still making higher lows and higher highs on the 30-minute too, and the same thing, we don't have a set high just yet on the 30-minute. So we'll update this once the market opens for the week. Then we had another day of rise. Multiple days of rise on NU. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 6 days where prices just been pushing to the top side. So we'll be patient with NU. For US30, is my chart frozen? Yes, it is. US30, and then we'll also talk about a trade that was given on Friday as well. So we'll take some time with US30. I'm gonna go ahead and add some lines here as well on the daily time frame. This is for the beginning of February. February 2nd, and then March 2nd, and then April 1st, and then May 1st, and then June 1st. Perfect. Daily highs are still intact. 4-hour highs. Let's take a look. Just add a few lines here too on the 4-hour time frame, just so we're not lost. Sunday 6 p.m. when the market's open. Then we had a week of no nets. We have 2 weeks where price has been finishing as no nets, so we have no continuations on the 4-hour time frame. And then on the 30-minute time frame, we had the change of character to the top side, right? Where we had the change of character, lower low, lower high. Then we had the lower low, and then price gave us a change of character, higher high to the top side. Notice how I'm not marking this on the 30-minute as higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, right? All of this is part of the same trend. And the reason being is just these pullbacks, realistically speaking, on the 30-minute time frame, just based on how much volume was given on the charts, it just wouldn't make sense for us to mark this as higher low, higher high, right? In this instance, right? All of this is pretty much part of the same trend, that same trend to the top side. Price gave us 2 days of rise, but on the second day, it induced the daily and the 4-hour high, so we weren't expecting price to give us that third day push, right? So that was the number one thing that I was looking at that we had talked about on Thursday. And we also know that we had a gap in the market, right? Gaps in the market reset the trend. So I really wasn't expecting price to continue those pushes to the top side. Now, looking at this on the 30-minute time frame, right? Just from looking at this from the top, right? Market opened, gave us a little push to the top side. Then at the end of Asia going into London, we had a push down to the bottom, and we started trending below the 50. But realistically speaking, and again, this isn't a trade that I took. This was an example that I was showing to Kendo on Friday, and I just kept it here on the chart so we could talk about it today. This was a already at this point, right? Once we kind of already saw that price, there was just no other way that price could have moved. Based off structure, based off what we could see on what price is doing, we just already knew like this 372 is not going to get hit, right? And again, understanding those gaps in the market also, right? It's the same reason we were able to take this trade. It's just understanding that gaps in the market need to be filled, right? So once we already saw the direction of the trend, the whole point was just now look for the entry, right? And in this case, let me go back to the 30 real quick. Do we had to update nothing on the 30? Oh, we're good. You know, in this case, the entry was really given on the 1-minute time frame, and it was a pretty simple trade. You know, this isn't really too difficult of a trade to see. On the 1 minute time frame, we had our change of character, right? Once we had the change of character, we also had our break of structure, which our break of structure happened here. And instead of giving us, a steep pullback, which we already know, right? A break of structure that's given when price is just giving you straight red candles to the bottom, you already know you're looking for a flag post type of entry, a flag post pattern entry, which is a pullback between 23.6 and 38.2. Now, looking at the candles and how they printed, right? You can see that we had the 38.2, so I'm gonna start deleting stuff. These candles to the bottom side, almost every single candle up until price gave us the break opened up with a gap. And as soon as those gaps were made, price went up, filled the gap, came back down. Opened with a gap, came up, filled the gap, came down. Opened with a gap, filled the gap, came back down. So it wasn't an easy trade to take when it comes to like, oh, we could be expecting price to reach the gap, fill the gap, take the entry at the gap fill, to then go back down, right? So our second point of interest was just pretty much the fib retracement, right? The fib retracement and then also the retest, which I'll go ahead and draw the box, right? Our retest of where the break of structure happened, right? Which happened here. So once we already saw, okay, cool, at this retracement was a 23.6 and it was also the retracement of the retest of where the break of structure happened, you could take that trade easy as day. The only thing I don't like about taking these type of positions is where our stop loss is going to be. And in this case, I was pretty much using the EMAs, like, okay, cool, price wants to go up a little bit higher, it could do that. If it wants to bounce off the 50 EMA, we could put our stop loss above the previous candle, right? The candle that was right on the 50, which where the pullback would have been, is here. I put my stop loss right above. You could have a little bit of a steeper pullback, which is the last green candle before the push down to the bottom, before the break happened, which is up here at 40 pips, right? And again, this is US30. 40 pips was 40 pips, right? But nonetheless, it wouldn't have been a bad trade, right? A good little 1 to 6, 1 to 7, nothing too shabby, right? So US30 was just a little bit more of a technical trade as well on Friday, very similar to how it was on Wednesday or Thursday, whenever it was that we took that trade, right? Wednesday going into Thursday, very similar. But price went down and then it went down straight to TP, right? It went down to fill that gap that we had on the 1 minute time frame. So everything was good. Now going into next week, sorry, let me take a sip of water. What could we be expecting on US30? I'm gonna wait it out before I say anything. We're back at a higher low, technically speaking, again from the change of character, higher high, higher low. We're back on the 800 EMA. Could price respect the 800 EMA? Absolutely. We also have an engulfing candle down here. Let me mark this up. This is a 4-hour engulfing candle, but I'm not too fond of this engulfing candle. But again, we'll continue to take a look at US30 going into the. I really don't even want to trade USDCAD and ZAR. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna look at it on the daily time frame. If I feel like it's worth to update, then I'll update it. But I don't even want to trade this pair right now. Because again, if what we're saying is true at US30, and again, we know that US30 and USDCAD are two pairs that move opposite of each other, and the fact that they're moving very similarly, right? And the same thing with ZAR. ZAR and CAD usually follow each other. It kind of just turns me off. Kind of just turns me off. We could see how at one point, yeah, I'm just not going to be trading USDCAD and ZAR for now. I'm not even going to give myself a headache. Right, and then ZAR, we're back at the bottom of the zone of consolidation again. So yeah, ZAR and gold, we're just going to continue to skip over those for a little bit. And that's pretty much it for today, guys. We'll update these last 4 pairs. Bitcoin is pretty much gonna be the same thing. I'm done trading Bitcoin for right now. There's just too many uncertainties, too much going on that pair. So we pretty much got gold, oil, and silver left. Gold is in peak high territory. I trade gold and US30, and Bitcoin a little bit different than the regular Forex pairs. Even though we're in peak high, we could definitely still catch a trade. So we'll see if we see anything. At this point, we have a lot of gaps at the bottom of the market that we are expecting price to fill. We had 2 weeks of rise. This week being the third week, price gave us that third week push. So again, this is another pair. Again, after 3 weeks of rise, the market must move sideways or go down for the next week. We do have gaps in the market that reset the trend. So technically speaking, could gold continue to push to the top side? Absolutely. We're still trading higher high, higher low, and then, you know, at this point, we're still trading between these higher highs, but we don't have any set highs just yet, so we're just going to keep this here for now. And then on the 30-minute time frame, we had 3 days of rise, and then price gave us another day of rise on Friday. And again, we had a gap in the market, resets the trend. We had a gap on Thursday, we had a gap on Friday. So these continuation pushes to the top side is not something out of the ordinary. Gaps reset the trend in the market. So we're trading higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low into these higher highs over here. Oil. See if there's anything to update. I don't think there is though. I think we're still just chilling with oil. February, March. Then we have Sunday. Sunday. Have a week of Nona, and then price gave us a week of rise. Still trading between the same 4-hour lows and 4-hour highs, so nothing to update. And right now, price is still on the 30-minute time frame on an uptrend, making higher highs and higher lows. And then price gave us a little zone of consolidation here, where we're still making higher high, higher high, higher high, higher high. So we'll be patient. Once we start making lower lows and lower highs on US oil, we'll start trading this again. So and then very similar with silver as gold. We're in the highest point in the market, so just kind of got to be patient. There's really nothing to update here. We're still don't have any set highs. 4-hour time frame, same thing. Still don't have any set highs just yet. We had a 2 weeks of rise on the third week, which is this week. Price gave us that third week push. After 3 weeks of rise, the market must move sideways or go down. But again, we have gaps in the market that reset the trend. So could price, technically speaking, continue this uptrend push? Absolutely. So we'll be patient. And then we had change lower low, and then gave us higher high, higher low into these higher highs all the way at the top side, and we have 2 days of rise. So we had the change of character, we have the break of structure, continuation back to the top side. You know, we'll be patient with silver the same way we're patient with gold. You know, they pretty much have the same market. The way they move structurally, it's pretty much very similar. So that's pretty much it, guys. We have a few pairs to keep an eye on. You know, the start of the week might be a little slow, but no steep enough pullbacks, 5-minute structure, yeah. We had the change. And on the 5-minute we didn't have a break. Right? On the 5-minute time frame we didn't have a break. That's why I was on the 1-minute time frame. Yeah, on the 5-minute time frame, 100% the break wasn't given. But that's why I was looking at this on the 1-minute instead. Right? And again, US 30, you know, you had the same structure, right? At the end of the day, you had the same structure on the 5-minute and the 1-minute, right? And on the 1-minute, 1 minute and the 5-minute, right? In this case, on the 5-minute, you kind of already had the confirmations, right? Even before the break, right? You're super close to the 800. That's number one. You know that the 800, when you're super close to it, is used as a little magnet. You know price is going to at least reach the 800 EMA. You had the 50 cross below the 200. So, yeah, and you had the price bounce off the 50 as well. So, again, even though you didn't have a valid break on the 5-minute, you know, you had the valid break on the 1-minute. And on the 1-minute time frame, you pretty much had the same confirmations, right? You had the break below the 800. You had the 50 cross below the 200. right? You had price bouncing on you had price bouncing off or around the 50 EMA, right? Like everything here made sense. So, there will be times where US30 and the best entries to take on US30 in my opinion are the ones that are given before the NYC Open. But everything has to line up, right? If you compare this trade to, the reasons why we didn't take trades all of last week and the week before and the other weeks that we haven't traded US30, you know, why is it that there's some days that I'll trade after 9:30? And why is it that there'll be some times where you'll see US30 gives you an entry before 9:30, right? And it's because of how it's moving, right? For the usual, US30 is a pair that's consolidating up until 9:30. So like obviously, if we're consolidating from 5 p.m. all the way till 9 in the morning, there's not going to be no trades, right? Similar to here. Like, why did I wait for 9:30 to take this trade until why did I wait until after 9:30 to take this trade? Because we were just consolidating, right? Why did I wait till after 9:30 to take this trade? Because price was just consolidating beforehand, right? Say let's go back and let's do a little bit of back test, even on trades that I didn't take. Like, why didn't I take a trade here? Because all we were doing was just consolidating, right? Before 9:30. Same thing here. What was price doing? Consolidating before 9:30, consolidating before 9:30, consolidating before 9:30, right? And you can just go back and back and back, and you'll see that that's the usual behavior, right? So now let's find the trades that I did take. Let's just go back and see. The fact that price moved before 9:30 and it was already kind of giving you those confirmations before 9:30, you could take those continuations. Right? This was a trade after 9:30. We took the trade at 10 o'clock. Why? Because price was just consolidating, right? So we know that if price just consolidates all throughout Asia session going into NYC, we know that price is going to give us this crazy candle, right? Those crazy exhaustion candles or crazy imbalance candles, those fake out candles for the 9:30 open. Right? Let's keep looking. You'll see it's the common behavior for US30. Right? But that's really the difference between that trade and why I took it before 9:30 and why I would have taken it before 9:30 compared to the other trades that you see on US30 that usually you will just wait until after, because price, like out of the 5 days of the week, US30 is consolidating. Right, out of the 5 days of the week, there's going to be 3 days where US30 is just consolidating up until 9:30. Right? This was a trade that I took at fucking 3 in the morning. Right? Engulfing candle, a little bit of a different entry model, but it was an engulfing candle after 3 days of rise, change of character, inducement to the highs. Right? But this one I didn't have to wait till 9:30. Right? Because the moves were already given before the fact. And then 9:30 hit, and then what happened? Price went straight to TP. That's why I say, like, there are a lot of times where taking a trade before 9:30 on US30 is comfortable, because you could just take the trade and you know that 9:30 is gonna hit and price is just gonna go straight into TP. All right, let's see if there's anything else. No, I don't trade US30 every single day. I only trade it when it's picture perfect. So there's not a lot of trades, but just scrolling through it, you can see the common theme. Right? Price is consolidating until when? 9:30. Boom. Every single time. Every single time. Let's see if there's anything else. We're in April. I know the beginning of the year of 2025, there was a few US30 trades and gold trades. So let's see if there's like 2 or 3 more here. Right? This trade here. Right? This trade here, when did we take it? We took it after 9:30. Why? Because we were consolidating the entire time. So we know that the 9:30 candle is going to give you the inducements, it's going to inducement, and then it's going to go into the real direction. All right, let's look for another one. I fear there's some trades, because I definitely took this trade, right? There's some markers that are deleted 100%. We took this trade. Same thing, consolidated up until when? 9:30 when it gave us the entry. Remember, because I took a trade going long and short here. Right? I took it from the top on the 4 hour engulfing, and then I took it here. I don't know why the markers aren't there. The same thing, we took this trade after 9:30. Why? Because we were just consolidating the entire time. Um, like I remember those trades too. It's my highest paying trades for the year. Right, and then we're back in January. Yeah, so we definitely. I don't know why my markers aren't there, but that's the reason for that trade on the 1 minute. But if price actually gives the entry and structure, everything is lining up, it's cool to take it. Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much what it is, right? Like if you're looking at structure and you're looking at your entries, if everything is lining up picture perfect, why wouldn't you take the trade? It's some that's deleted because that crazy long. Yeah, yeah, that's what I thought it was. Whenever my charts would do that crazy shit where it would show just a fake ass. You know why that's probably happening? Because I don't have it locked. I should probably start locking the positions, and that won't happen. That's pretty much it, team. Any questions? Any other pairs you guys want me to go over? Anything else you guys want me to talk about? Let me know. If not, then that's it for today. That's it for the week for the weekend weekly market breakdown, and we'll be back again Monday morning for the live trading session. We'll be in. I'll check my charts in the morning. If there's anything left to trade, we're gonna go ahead and turn the stream on Monday. If not, then we're just gonna do what we gotta do and go on from there. I'm gonna get rid of that hesitation, fear, and just trust structure. Yeah, bro. That's all you gotta do is just trust structure. Trust what you see on the charts, man. There's really no need to be scared on the chart. But again, it's human nature. It's gonna happen. Again, it happened to me on Thursday or Wednesday, whenever it was that I didn't take that trade on US30 either. So it's gonna happen, right? And at the end of the day, as long as you could understand, like if you come to the charts and you're just for some reason you're just not trusting what you see, then there's no need to force the trade either, right? There's no need to trust. There's no need to force the trade, because that's when you start losing trades as well. When you start forcing yourself to want to see something, or you start forcing price to do what you want it to do, or again, plain and simple, it's just something that at that moment you weren't able to see it for whatever reason. Okay, cool. You missed the trade, you back test it, you understand, okay, cool, next time I see this I could take it. Perfect. Next time you see it, you take it. So there's nothing wrong with doubting yourself or doubting what you see or being scared. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as you're not using that to force a trade, then you're good to go. I would rather take a trade that I'm confident in than take a trade that I wasn't confident in and I just got lucky. You know what I mean? Time to run it up, part of the process? Yes, sir. Alright, team. We'll see you all on Monday. Peace out.